All right.
I gotta get the audio on here. Sure. Okay, we're good.
All right, we'll call to order. Please stand for the pledge and a short devotion. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord, we ask that you guide our decisions tonight to best benefit the township. We ask that you keep sending nice weather, and we ask that everybody has a safe and happy Easter holiday over the weekend. Amen. Anybody have any changes for the agenda?
No.
I have none.
You see, you do?
You do?
I don't.
Okay. With that, Trustee Varian is out of town tonight, so he's not here, and hopefully everything is travels are safe. We'll move on to the meeting minutes from 3/11/24.
Trustee Griffith makes a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Trustee Piro seconds, roll call.
Griffith,
Yes.
Hero.
Yes. We'll move on to the treasurer's report. Anything out of the ordinary, fiscal officer?
No, later on, I'll be talking about the permanent appropriations, but all that's there. There's your minutes. Minutes, I got that at.
Trustee Piro moves to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
Roll call.
Griffith,
Yes.
Hero.
Yes.
I think it's
I don't think we need to sign it.
All right. Public speaks, and we have a gentleman here, Dennis Felipe.
Yeah.
I spoke to him a little bit on the phone, but I'll let you go ahead and
Okay,
stand up and
just
tell us.
don't try to keep it so short since I spoke to Ms. Butcher and yourself, and I just wanted to see about a property. I'm looking at a property on Maple Brook, and there was an undedicated road to the west of it. It just listed as 999 as a for the parcel.
What's the property? Is it the same address?
No, it doesn't have an address. It's just a vacant lot, but parcel 3701736 is the one I'm looking at, and he said there's possibly an undedicated road that, because it butts up to the high school there. And just looking to see what it was doing. I'm not too sure about the land, but I'm curious to see what I can do if it's acceptable to do anything with that.
Do you know an address next to that parcel?
Yeah, I do have the one neighbor that's right here. Okay, to the
You have
east
the
of-
parcel?
If you give me that parcel number again, I
Yes,
think I can get
yeah,
it. Go
sorry.
ahead.
It's 3701,
3701.
736.
I think that's gotta be close to where we put that new culvert in there on that side. I'm thinking,
Yeah,
right?
it's a little bit wet, and I just was worried about that too. To the west of the property, there was supposed to be a road, I guess, and the gentleman kind of pointed out it might be a selling point for him to sell the property there.
Am I on the right one?
Yes, you are. That's the
This
property
is
right
it?
there. That's the property.
That's where I put
This
the
is it
culvert.
right here
Yeah,
then?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Let me get it pulled up here.
This is one of them roads that goes clear through
That-
to,
That's where I put that culvert in about a year.
Can you zoom out a little more, Brian, so
Yeah,
we can see
yeah.
where that road's going?
You want it faded out
Isn't there
there?
some like old cars sitting on there
That's good right
now?
there, yeah. It
Yeah,
goes
there's
clear
a
to
There's
pickup
the-
truck, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
that crossover road. So it's a proposed road?
It's undedicated. I guess years ago, they were gonna put it through there and the high school built up right up to it and there's a fence there. And doesn't look like if you go there, yeah, you can see the high school there
Yeah, right here, in
Yeah.
this area.
and there's a fence there and all that, so
I can't think of where it's at.
you know,
Just as you
44
head
is
out
right,
of town,
What's
that
that?
first street
Yeah.
there.
yeah,
It's
The
across
one
from the
that's got-
storage.
yeah. there's-
Here's the
down there,
church,
all
here's,
right down there.
here's the church and right there coming down.
That was the storage sheds on the other
And
side.
you keep going down there till you come to,
Boy, those are really long,
It's just
narrow
past the
lines.
Yeah,
cut
that's,
through
yeah,
right
that's
there,
why I wanted,
Randy.
I wouldn't be up by it.
it's right as you get there where you can see
What are you
the
looking to do with the
cut
lot?
through
I
road right
just- I
there.
wanted to build
Connects the
build, like a workshop a little for myself, you know, and I guess you can't do a storage shed or not a storage, but it's a workshop type deal. I'm retired and I'm looking to build a little workshop and, you know, with my equipment in, but.
You live next to it?
What's that?
You live next to it?
No, I live in North Canton.
What is that zone, Mary?
That is
R1 and R2, I think. it's,
R1, I believe.
You can't just build a building, can you?
No, I guess when I talked to Mary, you have to build a house too. I
Um,
just want to build a house and a little bit of space there for.
You are interested in possibly building a house?
Yeah, I guess that goes along with it. I just couldn't build a building. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's your plan.
Yeah, that's my plan, yeah. Clean up a lot. It hadn't been cleaned up for a while.
So that's I can't believe how those are so long and narrow because
Yeah, me
regional
neither.
planning doesn't let us do that anymore. But that's already there, so they can't reject it because it's,
We've had some other ones, not in this specific area, that we've gotten rid of the road, the paper road, usually, per se. Like I said, I don't,
who takes care of that?
I have no idea. I mean, he just proposed it.
Takes
It helped
the
solve
lot,
a
you
lot.
mean?
Not the lot, the proposal of the road.
Oh, I don't think there is nothing. You wouldn't even know it if you went out
So
there.
that's what I'm
I do.
saying, is that line in the middle, the neighbors each take a piece of it or something? I don't see any reason for that ever to be needed as a road, because the school property is not gonna change.
Yeah, but my
Is
thinking,
the
my
dedicated-
thinking is that if you ever wanted to put a road.
Isn't
who
the
knows,
dedicated
it's gonna
road
be 30 yards down, you know.
between that lot he's talking about, that other lot, it's right in line with
It's,
See the little, that little space between
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, that's all.
right.
That's
on
the
Dover.
proposed
That's what I'm
road.
thinking, dedicated road should be
This is
going along.
lot.
That's the lot.
I'm looking at.
So
That's the
they
idea.
have it.
That's the lot, but the
Oh.
See,
dedicated
they
part
have
road should
it
have
marked
been,
off, that's the road. So I don't know.
the dedicated road should be part of that.
Well, it's
lot
not
in line with
dedicated.
Elmbrook.
It's, so, but it obviously has to be part of that parcel because he's trying to sell, well, he's trying to sell that part.
He's trying to buy it.
I'm
Right.
trying to buy, yeah, but,
But you're trying to buy the whole thing.
well, he's gonna sell me the lot, but it doesn't.
He
it's
doesn't
not
know
fair
what
to
part
be
of the
big
road
enough
goes with the
Yeah.
lot.
To
Oh,
have, you know, a line, you know, the 10-foot easement, you know, between the properties to really build what
Yeah,
I
it's
want
not
to build.
very wide.
Yeah, it's not.
Doesn't that work with that road right away? If it would get split out, he could get half and the neighbor.
that's,
gets half, or is
that's on a bordering township.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I don't know, Randy, it's something you're gonna have to look into. That is
Yeah.
not a dedicated road.
No,
I don't have any problem looking into it as long
Yeah.
as, I mean, if it's all checks out or I'm fine with
Yeah,
getting rid of it.
I'm fine not having that as a road, because there'll never be a road go up against that
that's
school
what I'm
property.
saying, yeah.
So we just need to find out, how do we get that off of the,
I'll call the county engineers and they'll be able to tell me what is what.
and they'll tell us, where does the land go? Does
Okay,
all of it
that's
go
all.
with the lot? or
And
does it-
I'll get back in touch.
Okay, because I didn't want to really buy it unless there's some.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
stuff, you know.
If it wasn't the school there, then I would say the
Yeah.
question could still stand, but with the school there, they're not gonna ever make that a road into
No.
the school.
No.
Cause they
Okay.
control the entrances
That's all I
going in.
was asking for.
Yep.
Okay.
That's where the band marches, they're practicing.
Yeah, you're true.
So, yeah, give me a few days.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
get
no
back in
problem.
touch.
I'm no rush.
I'll try and call them tomorrow, but I
Okay.
don't know how fast they'll get back to me. But,
So that would be good to clean up the vacant lot.
Yeah, it would. There's a lot of dead trees and everything on it. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Say, welcome to the neighborhood then.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Works out. Thanks.
all right.
No other speakers? You want to sit there and look, but you don't say anything.
I'm just sitting here and
I know.
This
watching
is
the
the person number.
festivities.
This is the person number.
So nice to
That's
sound like.
Yeah, that's a, let me make sure. 370-1736.
All right, we'll move on to the fire.
All I asked from Chief Carter is our compressor broke down again the other day, the air compressor for our trucks. The motor slid over and just loosened up the belt, so the belt got worn a little bit, but we got it back in place. We didn't notice that the weld that I believe you recently just welded.
I didn't know if it's a job that it broke.
Okay, the weld broke, well, not on the weld, it broke next to the weld going down further on that compressor casing, so we're saying we need to get that repaired again before it gets worse. But it's back in working order. Cliff came up and helped get it back into service, so.
I'll stop up and take a look at it.
We ran 18 calls, 16 ALS calls, we had 2 fire calls, and then we had mutual aid once from Louisville and MVA, where we had 2 patients, so we just had them come for another squad.
This is like a small list. You're getting a little break for a little bit.
Yep.
On their agenda, I had wrote on there, I wanted to discuss this here because Dale might be familiar with this too.
All right, discussion on the federal communications renewal of the radio license and the water, something on the water tower.
Trustees, I wanted to let you know where I was at that. I've talked to Chief Parker, I've talked to Captain Adams, talking to Stu a little bit here, trying to keep everybody updated. Our FCC license on that water tower was expiring on March 23rd. And that's passed. But when I got this last week, I've been trying to work on it to get this thing renewed, not knowing if the fire department used that all. They actually don't. Mark's system, the new Mark system, does not use that tower. But at this, what we find out is like Stewie, the road department, radios do use that. And they use that to communicate. And I know Stu has worked on and just looking into everything for us right now. It's all kind of new for him. But what I've run into is that getting it renewed, I had to get it out of my name was on it, and actually a former secretary's name was on the license to renew it, but it wouldn't allow me to renew it. So when I called Friday there and tried to get this thing renewed, they said, as long as I'm going through the process, and I got some emails today, I'm still going through it. I want to keep that thing active. It's only a few, maybe $100 or $150 to keep this license going. But I wanted to give Stu some time and also some time that we could look into getting this up and operational to make sure that these guys could use it. And in all that, I ended up talking to Captain Adams. And, I know there was a lot of talk here through these last couple of years about the Mark system getting radios to the road department. So in a case of emergency, we could communicate. Well, Captain Adams is getting information. He called it a piggyback frequency on Mark's, that we can get another frequency onto the Mark system and then get additional radios, whether they're portables or inside the road equipment, that we could utilize the marks that these guys in our emergency, both our road and fire, could talk to one another. in our
On a
emergency.
different frequency.
Yeah, but it's a matter of just hitting a button or turning a knob to go
Yeah.
to that frequency, but they can communicate without having to use cell phones and these other things.
But do they have to have the Marks radios or what other radios?
They'd have to have the Marks radio. So that's a cost to look into.
Yeah,
Keep in mind, I'm just finding this all out over the weekend as I'm going, but I'm still planning on getting the license renewed. But at the same time, like with Stu, the radios are all in all the road trucks now, the regular ones that use that or UF, I don't know what that's actually considered, that license, a UF's, the FCC license one. But I know to make those guys be able to communicate to one another, I think we need to at least look at updating it or what's involved with updating it. But,
I remember talking about this thing. I thought it wasn't working right.
yeah.
It isn't working right.
That was right before the marks came out or something, when we never did that.
And it's only been getting worse.
I think it was the antenna on the tower was
Yes.
the issue.
When I talked to Ryan the other day at the bus garage, when the outfit that worked on theirs here recently and put the new cable and antenna up for the school. Ryan even asked him, he said, well, what kind of shape is the one that the township was using along with the fire department at that time? And he said it's getting in really bad shape. And I get that because our radios don't work worth a darn now. It's
They
getting
haven't for a
worse.
long time.
No, and the same thing was happening with the school there with the bus garage. And now they put the new cable up and antenna and got everything, all the radios tweaked and everything. And he said it's really working good now for the bus drivers.
So recently I attended the Stark Council of Governments Committee. And every time we meet quarterly, they give us a report on the Marks radios. And the policeman retiree guy, I forget his name, that was doing it has now retired again. And they just brought somebody new back on. But part of the discussion was how many radios are currently on there. And are they getting close to a max capacity or not? Because there's so many more than fire departments and all the police. There are some others on there. So I think that we want to, I like the idea of getting a piggyback channel because we wouldn't have I don't think we'd have all of the bells and whistles that go with the main channel where they block the interruptions and stuff. We'd probably still get all of those. I will say those radios are very expensive.
Does our fire, do you guys have extras now?
The Marks radios?
I don't think
we
they do.
don't.
How often do you talk to them? Just in the last year?
Yeah, I mean, it ain't like
I mean, is it 3-4 times, 15 times a year? Or?
what do you mean as far as?
I'm just trying to get an idea. How often would you use
We don't
it?
talk to them
Well-
hardly at all anymore because
So-
we don't have the radio
Yeah,
systems.
I
like
think
we
the
used to.
key to it is if
I mean,
the
we
cell
just call, we
towers,
have to call each other on the phone or whatever, cell
yeah,
phone.
if like your Verizon or whatever would go down, there's no way for them to communicate. Having the Mark system means they're not reliable on any of those. It runs independently and they can still run the Mark system. That's why. So it's for an emergency use, really not for everyday use. You probably just use your phone quicker than you would the Mark's radio to get through the whole thing.
Well, what I was thinking is if they had one or two extras up there and then you had a real emergency, you run up and get one extras and then
I don't
they trade
think-
them
They don't
around.
have any extras. They each are assigned out to each
I
person.
just, if we have it and you don't use it for 6 months, how well is it going to hold the battery and stuff? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know that, but I know the radio itself is more than 5,000 a radio. They're
The
really
old
expensive.
system that we still have, that we were all on, it was a type of system where, you could punch up on your radio like in the truck and it says Osnaburg Roads, or you can go to Osnaburg Fire. So that's how I would do that. If I had to talk to them, I'd hit that and go to the fire and holler at them. Now I can leave that on a scan like that all the time, but I normally didn't do that because we don't want to hear all that. They probably don't want to hear us either,
It would be nice if I think you should renew the tower, Brian.
That's what I was telling
Yes.
the trustees. I'm working on it. I don't want to lose the license or code numbers that are with that, because that's been there since, for the last 20-some years.
Yeah, I think you should renew it, but I think that we need to look at the price of radios and if maybe we can find some grants for the radios to pick up for the road crew. And we also would have to look to see if
That's
the
what I
marks
need,
can hold it.
help on for you trustees. We need to either decide to get some pricing on if we had some portable marks for the road. They could communicate what the cost of having this piggyback frequency, yearly cost or something on that. You need to kind of weigh it out along with the cost of updating if there needs to be a new antenna up there for the regular everyday
Cable and
use.
antenna
That would
probably.
be very expensive to put a new antenna up
Yeah.
there.
It's about $5,000 to $6,000.
Right.
The school just
So-
did there.
But if you go with marks, if you had a couple marks, you're gonna have 10 grand and 2 radios. So,
We need warranty radios.
They need that fixed.
We got 4 vehicles.
Right, you use the CVs on the red trucks.
Yeah, they don't get out far. They don't work for the darn.
No, that's what I'm saying. You need that fixed.
Yeah, we need
That's
that radio
awful. That is
fixed.
terrible.
If we're gonna
right?
go like that.
Especially in the snow, it's terrible. You can't understand anything.
You can't.
But you do have to have those CVs when you go in the pit,
Yes, they're nice. The
So you have to
CVs
keep the
are for
CVs.
their purpose, yeah.
right, you have to.
The
use
other
that
radio
fix.
is the one that needs fixed. Either that or like Brian said, figuring out and checking into all the pricing on what it costs.
I just
Piggybacking on
asked,
Mark versus-
I asked the trustees that, I'm not trying to pass this on, but you guys need to
When I
coordinate
meet
with everybody.
again for SCOG,
Yeah.
I just didn't want to ask this guy questions. That was his first time there. He just got
Yeah.
hired.
Yeah.
So give him a little bit of time. I'll meet him again in June, I think it is. And I'll ask at that time about the radios, see if there's some extra ones laying around that we could get 1 or 2. I mean,
It'd be
The nice
nice.
thing if we fix the old ones, they aren't really bad and it's just the cable and antenna. We only need 1 more to put in the Chevy and have it in all 4 trucks. And we still have our 2 portable ones that we can take that are sitting out here on top of the lockers
you mean off the old tower?
for our old town. Yes, the old ones, for like in the truck right now.
The only
Which would be
thing,
nice to have to put in, say the excavator or the backhoe when we're taking off and going out doing that. Guy can hear us. He can talk to us.
yeah, the only thing I would check into a few things, and that would be if the Marks towers, because they put up more towers than what they originally said, is that going to interfere with the signal? I'm not a radio person. I don't know any of those things. But I think you do need radio, so we just need to renew the license if you can, and then we'll look
I
into
feel
how
like
much it is.
it's gonna be too expensive with the marks.
I don't know. We don't know, because we don't know what it's going to cost to fix the antenna that's up there.
I'm talking about marks, if you have to go to Marks and then buy all the radios.
Yeah, and there's annual fees on that Marks, and
We need
Per
to, look
radio.
at- we need to
Someone,
find out what.
trustees, Richard, I think you're going on the right track. We go to the
Yes.
council meetings. What's the other townships are doing? Do the road department and the fire department have marks both, or what are they doing?
no, the only people using Marks right now are the police, and that would include the villages and the cities. I don't know if they're all on there, but the police and the fire, and then there's some administrators, different places that are carrying radios.
To me, it'd be interesting to know what, anything from our surrounding townships, how the road guys communicate and how, what's going on with the fire and EMS, just see what's going on.
So the school has an antenna on the water tower, like it's right beside ours?
Yeah, it's up there along right with ours.
We'll see if you can get some information on whatever they got.
Now, they have a good radio system.
Yeah, they just put it in.
I know,
Yeah.
we'll see what information you can get so we can see what it costs to change ours.
Ryan gave me their number and stuff. I just need to call them. I know Ryan.
That's where we gotta start.
Ryan told me it just roughly cost them between $5,000 to $6,000 just to have the new cable all the way up in the antenna.
But maybe it's a possibility that we can piggyback onto their system with a few more radios.
And then they come in too and would check the
Because we do
radios
the
here
road
too. We
checks
could
for them.
tweak them and everything to make sure they're working.
That's
right.
probably sounds like a
Pig
better way
on
to
the
go.
school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
Yeah, maybe we can, because you're reporting to them and all the inclement weather, whether we should go on the roads or not.
I don't know. I don't know how that works if they,
Maybe there's multiple channels you could use on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. We can check into that too.
All right.
But you do need radios.
Well, I'm pointing out, when I started helping just to get a simple license, it's rolling into a lot of other questions I have for safety for both the road, the fire, communications. You know, the mark system works great for the fire and EMS side, but, you know, I know we have 2 light winters, but if a bad storm hits or a tornado or something major happens, we need to be able to communicate with one another. And right now, I don't think we can do that really good, other than using cell phones and,
But the only
you
way
know,
we get, that's how we get in contact.
It is, but I don't want to be dependent on a cell phone. So that tower goes down, you're done.
All I was getting at before was it's a pain being out there in the wintertime when you're in a storm and you gotta keep stopping to get on your cell phone, when you should be able to grab that mic and go, hey, what's going on? Or, well, I need you over here. You know, I'm in a ditch on my side. It's crazy.
And my cell phone went out the window and I can't reach it.
Anything's
We'll
possible.
work
You
on it.
use them,
We'll work on
you
it.
use them year round, like I said, whenever you're
I know.
ditching anything else. you
We
use
miss having radios in the trucks. I
them
mean,
well, yeah, the ones you got now, you might throw out.
No, they
Ryan,
don't.
we'll work on it.
You get about every third word.
Anything else on the fire? Moving on.
You should come every time.
Cemetery.
Brian doesn't have anything for me, so I don't have anything to report right at the moment.
Road report.
All right, trustees looked over everything. You have any questions on road report? Salt bins clear full, all salt's in.
Were we able to help out the amount that we bought? Did we overbuy a little bit? Then Brian helped someone else out.
But we asked Dave Torrance, or I talked to him because Brian had to get going, and he said that's great. Yeah, it'll go to some, but it doesn't. We don't know who it'll go to.
But we bought more than our.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
We only needed to buy 520
500
ton.
Okay.
We bought 990
Somebody can
ton.
help.
Good.
They,
Right.
I was surprised how many are going to get stuck, including the county.
Oh, yeah, there's gonna be a bunch of them.
So we must have estimated really well. Good job there, Superintendent.
Good job, Brian.
Brian, fiscal officer.
We'll just have to keep that up, because that money helps us out for each year, that when Stu or we get the pricing, once we know the bid pricing for the 24-25, I then can work with Stu and we can get a good number for the next snow season. You never know what's going to happen. We've had 2 late winters. Since I've been here in 11 years, that's very unusual. But
But if we had a heavy winter, what we have in there now should still do us.
what's there, Stu could probably vouch for that. You got enough up there now to really start off that you could probably go,
Almost 2 years.
well, almost 2 years.
If we don't have a hard
No, I
one.
said if we had a hard winter, we would still have enough salt to do that whole winter.
Oh, I would
Oh,
think.
yeah.
Okay.
Unless we really had a bad one.
but for next year,
We got about
we
1,200,
talked-
1,300 ton up there. Right
We
now.
should only need about 200 or 300 for next year to allocate, and then
Right.
we can take either 80%
And that's what,
up to 110.
once we get the
Oh, for the
bid,
number.
once we get the bid with the new contractor,
Yeah,
the
we'll
CUE, we'll be able to pick that number. We have been using a number like 900, and then you don't have to buy 720 on the low side. You could buy up to 100 or 1,200 ton,
Yeah.
120% over. Well, those percentages are still the same. We just have to set our bar lower because we're sitting up there with.
Are the percentages? I thought they were
No,
closer.
it's gonna go to 110%.
Yeah, we don't
90
have quite the range.
90 and 110, he said.
Did they say 90?
Yeah.
I missed
Yeah, our
that.
range got smaller that we have to
Did you
hit.
say that? Because on the paperwork
He
I
did.
have is identical from CUE. So
He did say
80,
that, I
120.
remember him
Unless
saying.
something's going on that I haven't got that updated.
I'll ask him when I call
Yeah,
him on the road.
He did say it.
He said it because I thought I heard him on. I thought, well, I picked it up wrong because the documents I have from CUE said 80, 120. 80 on the low
Well,
side.
did you get them recently or before?
I
the
got it before that meeting, the Stark County engineer meeting.
Because he said he was proposing that to them, and I wonder if that's what that is, but they
Yeah.
hadn't accepted it yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because everyone else, they do the
They
other.
hadn't accepted the 80 to 110, you mean?
Yeah, not yet.
So it could possibly be 90 to 110.
Yeah.
80 to 120, 90 to 110 is what he said, but
Oh, okay,
whatever.
It could be what's in the document,
okay.
maybe.
Well, trustee Puro moves to make payment to Cargill for the road salt purchased. You want the number on that?
I don't have it wrote down, it's on that check right there. Yeah, it's $67,000.
Not to exceed 68,000.
You know, well, it's all, you already approved the purchase of it, but I don't have the final bill from the compiler bill yet. I'm estimating that at 3,900, so whatever that is, it needs to go $3,900 over. But you already approved the purchase of it, we just, the dollar amount, I knew roughly what it would be.
67,091.
Is it 67?
67,091.89.
The purchase order is already made out for 71,000 something.
So what is the salt?
What do you want?
Just I want to approve to release that payment.
This
That's a
payment.
big
All
chunk
right,
of
trustee
change.
Puro moves to release the payment to Cargill for the road salt.
All right, thanks.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
Roll call,
Griffith,
Yes.
Puro.
yes. You haven't heard anything on the road truck?
Ha, 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 ha. No, we have not. I've called Tom Lewis several times and he has not returned my calls.
Have you went down Westfall to Old 43 at
Yes.
all? Because on the side, you know where the guy has the land that's a preserve, like, you know, the white fence?
Yes,
That ditch there on that corner there is like it was washing all these leaves up out of it and stuff, like it was plugged. Did you see that?
yes. The
Okay.
guys are gonna be probably heading out here to,
Okay.
we were just out there last week and me and Ronnie.
I forgot about it. It'd been a couple weeks ago. I come through and it
We
was
looked at that.
ugly there.
It needs, it looks like.
It looks like it's just plugged.
The old farmhouse right there.
Yes,
It looks like everything is plugged up right there.
that's what it looks like.
We need to dig down and find the culvert and everything.
Well, we don't want it washing on our road there.
Right.
All right, anything else?
No, I don't
You're
think
not
so.
spending any money. Oh, no, you just spent $67,000.
Yeah, it's been enough.
Move on to zoning.
Okay. Since the last meeting, haven't had any new permits or anything issued. Over on the nuisance side, there ain't a whole lot of change on anything. Sindel, they cleaned up some of the junk that was there, but they haven't done much with the building or anything like that yet.
They did clean up debris though.
Like they said, other than that, there's not a whole bunch of change. The zoning commission met last Monday and they started working on solar stuff, and I found a document from OTA that I'm gonna download, and we're gonna fix that to meet what we need. And
So I will
that's for the
say-
solar.
Marie, chair of the zoning commission, and myself went to the regional planning dinner, and Cliff was there and his wife. But when we got there early, we were able to connect with regional planning, Janelle, and she told me she was going to send you their draft of what they have for solar.
Okay,
If you haven't seen it yet, reach out to her for it.
okay.
Their draft is set for more on a wide scale, not a township. And so then Mary, you also got the OTA one, which is specifically set for townships. I don't know what's in it yet.
I'm not sure yet either.
But the commission's planning on moving pretty quick with that.
Mhm.
And then go to hearings. So that we could get something in place. And then we'll also have to revisit our fee schedule on that.
The property over there off of Georgetown where the guy has the camper on the old junkyard site,
Oh, that's building.
did he start building?
He said they were gonna be digging in the spring, hoping to flatten it out.
Do you know where his septic's going?
I'm not sure. I know there was the old septic still there. That probably,
Did he get approval from the health department?
I believe so. I know
One
Paige
of
was
the
helping
neighbors-
him.
Up the other way, I don't know if it, I wasn't out there, but they said, oh, it's running, but they wanted to do something similar, and I'm like, well, that's not what we do. I said, if you want to move a mobile home in, it has to be certain year or whatever value. Then they quickly pivoted to, well, this guy's got sewage running down. I said, it sounded like a blame game, so I just
Well,
wonder.
there is a thing, like if you have a immediate relative, like a parent or a child with usually it's a parent that's got a disability and you're having to do like a hardship, you can have a temporary hardship for like a camper.
Well, that's not the situation that they were
Okay.
talking about, so it doesn't,
Okay.
I think they were just looking to stir something up,
Yeah.
to me.
Well, I will tell you, one of the old commission members that lives across from there was very supportive and happy with everything and the cleaning up that's happening.
Yeah, so,
And she's the direct neighbor.
well, if the health department's been out there and looked at it, it's probably fine, but,
I know the health department's been out there a few times and just make sure everything's okay. They haven't had any issues that I know of.
I think it's just nice, and I don't know the person at all, but nice to see someone following the rules and trying, doing
yeah,
it.
well, yeah, the person that talked to me must have bought there must be some vacant parcels or something that come up too. And their question to me was, they were gonna roll in some trailers for rentals, and I'm like, yeah.
There
you
are a
can't.
bunch of lots back there that church owned that went up for sale.
I said, you
Parcels.
either have to put them on a foundation, or they have to be a certain age, they have to be a certain, you can't just roll them in.
No.
So that's where it pivoted to, so I'm like, it just sounded like they didn't like the answer.
Mm.
All right, anything else?
That's all I have for right now.
I got no old business, new business, permanent appropriations.
Trustees, I have that, if you have your copies there, just like to talk about that a little bit. This is the time of the year where the temporary runs out at the end of March, and then we start on permanent appropriations, 1st of April for the rest of the year. The appropriations is about the total appropriation is about $200,000 more than it was a year ago, roughly. But when you look at the cover sheet on your appropriations, the general fund is about normal. We do have that $60,000 in that capital fund sitting in there as part of that $226,000 if needed for a capital project. Motor vehicle license fund, that's about normal. That one also is normal. Your gasoline tax fund, that's where we buy our road salt out of. That $278,000. That one there is a little bit higher, but we were able to buy the mini out of that, fill our salt shed. But I feel that money, we could utilize that if we needed some help in the road department on our road programs or something like that. A portion of that, not all of it, but a portion of that. The next fund there, the road and bridge, inside millage, that's what the payroll for the road department, that's what all the mechanics of this facility get paid out of, other than general fund helps out on like office and stuff, but that's pretty well normal. I did do a projection on the line items. If you look at the appropriation on your line items, the salary with having the 2 part-time guys on is falling right in check with what I projected. We usually run about 125 to 130,000. I'm projecting out about 140. But it's working out good. I think it's got its depth. So they got some part-time guys here to help Stu. Got guys in there that we're not hurting that bad in that particular fund to carry those 2 extra guys 3 days a week. And Stu could vouch for that part of it. I think it helps the road department where you got guys in there all the time now to back both Rodney and Stu up. The cemetery fund, this one has me concerned. I know Brenda, you and I talked about, we do prepays, and when I was looking at this, I had to hash this around. I'm not going to say it's over appropriated, but that 18,555, I'm using some of the prepaid money to put that in place. It doesn't mean we use it. It just means I had to make it available, because here's what happens. Throughout the year, when Ryan sells lots or we collect extra money on open closings, that fund could all of a sudden get real busy and we could get a lot of money. On the other hand, if we don't, that's where you're going to hear me say, we're going to have to call Jimmy Beck, cut back on mowing. We got to cut. Because right now, the way it is, I don't want to burn up all our prepaid money for the people that have prepaid the township for when their time comes. But I was sharing with Trustee Piro, and I would share with you, Trustee Griffith, that there needs to be consideration of putting that cemetery levy back on, possibly, and getting some help with some promotion of it. Anybody needs information, because it costs anywhere from 15 to 18 grand a year to take care of our cemeteries on the low side. If we're doing extra tree trimming, if we need to do extra projects, you need that extra money in there. And I know our levy was only there to generate $21,800 and some dollars, which if we still were able to collect other money would help us out. But cemetery fund has me concerned as the fiscal officer that we need to be looking at sometime before July 1st of working on and preparing that levy.
Brian, how much of that is prepaid? Because I really don't want to use any prepaid money.
Well, right now you're paying, you're prepaid with everything you have. You have 22,500. Prepaid is about 8,500. But even though I appropriate it and you approve it, I still would have to say that, you know, when you all go about doing any projects like anything else, I'm going to be saying you don't have the funds to do it. I mean, that's where my job as a fiscal officer, I'm going to say I don't. But let's say between now and the next 2 months, Ryan collects another 8 grand. It's going to cushion that out. Then this appropriation is fine. That's one of them ones where it's, I was telling.
So selling the lots, I don't consider prepaids. And that's the money Brian's collecting.
Yes.
The prepaid to me is what people are prepaying for their.
Well, it's prepaying. They're prepaying for their open and closing.
Yeah,
That's about
that price can
8,500.
change though.
That number could change because you could collect more money. You also could, so say you get lot money. This, when you're looking at 18,550, 560, that's appropriations. If you look at your treasurer's report, it's telling you how much money's in that account. You're going to receive, and since I've been here, you always receive between 12 to 15 grand a year. One year we received almost 20 by collecting, selling lots. That's what we operate to be able to mow the cemeteries, to do tree trimming or take down a tree or do the extra. What I'm saying, when I appropriate 18,555, usually I'd appropriate 25,000. I'm cutting it down, but I'm concerned about that. If we don't collect the normal amount of money that we would,
Right.
we're going to be hurting.
We're just going to have to not mow as much. And if we want to pass a levy for the cemetery, but we make it look perfect all the time, then the people look at it and say, well, why should I do it? Because it looks great. That's the same with the roads, that concept.
It's the same concept. You got to educate our residents that we want to be proactive. We're not wanting to have extra money here just to waste it. We need this money needs to come in so we can maintain what we have.
Correct.
And the maintaining part of it is very important to keep the level, because according to the Ohio Revised Code, townships only have to mow their cemeteries twice a year. Now, could you imagine if we stopped and only mowed them twice a year, how many phone calls we'd be getting in here?
Right.
But that's according to the Ohio Revised Code, and that's the way it is. But you and the previous trustees have always tried to keep the cemeteries looking good. We've always tried to maintain them the best, but we've also received 3 extra cemeteries in the last that were surrendered to us in the last 3 years that now churches can't take care of them, so we're getting them dumped on us. We need to figure out a way of taking care of it. So the only way I know is keep asking residents for their help, financial help.
I think we have to find the right person, since the new rules changed that doesn't allow us to go out and talk about why we need this levy.
Yeah, we can.
We have to find the right person to
We
take that
can
message.
talk to the point of stating the facts that we talk here at the meetings, that the funds aren't there, or we're hurting, but we can't go out and do promoting as trustees and fiscal officers. We can't do promoting. We need that committee to be able to help us do that. Similar to the way the fire department had Denny Meyer, Mr. Varian, and Mr. Piro's Senior out doing the promoting to help with that.
And to be honest with you, the public's probably sitting there thinking, well, why aren't you talking about it?
Yeah.
And I don't know whoever came up with the new rules for that, but it was not good.
Right.
But I wanted to point that out. The next one is the fire fund. You notice it's appropriated at 515,000. Normally that's only 320. Now the new levy money is coming in. It's not all here. You receive. We still have one more advance that should be before the end of this month. That'll get us at the halfway point. But that 515,000, if you look at your treasurer's report, I believe it's at $97,000 in that fire fund. So there isn't that kind of money in there, but as the money comes in, that's what has been appropriated that can be spent, but it can't be spent tomorrow. It has to be still, you're going to ask me as we go along, there might be times I'm going to say, trustees, we don't have the funds yet. So you're going to have to say no to a lot of stuff. And I know to respectfully, the fire department is going to have to understand that just because the levy passed don't mean the money's sitting there ready to go. It's going to come in, and we've been placing that where when I write that budget, we should be okay after we get into 2025. It's just this year we're in, it's going to run tight. But that's a change. Your road levy, the 2141, the 377,000 there, that money there is a little bit higher because there again, that's your road levy money that we buy road salt. And because we had 2 light winters, we haven't had to buy the normal $70,000, $80,000 worth of salt every year. So that has a little extra in it, but you get one bad year and we have to refill the salt shed, that average will go down, but I think we're okay there. That money also is what we use for, that's the main one we use for our chip and seal. But 377,000 of that, 80-some thousand will go to the village that we share with them on their road project. So we really only, why it's appropriated 377 is I got to give them about 80,000 of that when the time comes, and I'll get that exact number when that time comes.
Does that cargo still have to come out of that too?
What's that?
The salt still comes out of that?
So not too much of that. That's all chip and seal. That's your chip and seal project right there.
Yeah,
So just subtract 80,000 out of that. So, you know, you can do just at a,
290.
when you look at the line item funds, the way I have it set up under that, you'll see there's not that many line item funds in there, but you can utilize that money up to, you want to use as much of that money as you can every year because you're going to get that money. That's part of levy money the residents, we all pay into, and we want to use that to keep the roads intact. But that money there, we had some carryover. We had about $9,000 at the end of the year carryover. So that number's there just a little bit higher, not much.
So Brian, if I heard correctly at the meeting with the
Township.
county,
Yeah.
The price that I saw quoted for chip and seal was much higher than what we were used to, that the county's paying. On that sheet in the book pamphlets.
On the county side with their.
I
Yeah,
thought they said they hadn't got, the bids were just posted online.
they had a
Bid
sheet, they had a
prices.
sheet in there that had the bid prices.
I didn't look at it yet.
So I just thought it was much greater than what we've been paying.
It's,
So can I ask Road Superintendent Unkefer if you will come up with that list of roads that we should be on schedule for this year, so we can start looking at it and see what those are.
That we're gonna chip and seal?
He's got that, he's
Yeah.
working on that, and, I know he shared some of that to me. I know the chip and seal, which Stu had given us, that information, along with, possibly doing some work in the allotments. I
The
think-
micro sealing.
Yeah, well,
Valkyrie and Viking and
was-
Ocean and Sunlight.
is it micro sealing or is it the actual blacktop?
Blacktop, and trying to re-level those last two,
To
Or
build them up.
re-level.
level them and then go in and micro seal afterwards, like a year or two later.
So part of the road project will have to be like considering all that, because you might want to take some roads off the chip and seal, but
Yeah.
I am working with Stu on those numbers so we can present them to you, so we can get something here to get this out. Hopefully when Cliff's here at the next meeting, we'll have it ready for you.
Or even just what is our normal rotation of roads for the year? Because you have that rotation.
We'll have that all for you here at the next meeting.
Trustees, your next one there, the permissive motor vehicle fund, that's about normal. That's nothing unusual there. Your next one, American Rescue Act, the reason there's 313,146.68 in there. Those are your ambulance, we haven't received, and that is your road truck that we haven't received. Once those two vehicles get here, that'll disappear. That's what's been set aside to pay that. Or part of that, I should say, you got two capital funds down there, towards the bottom, 50 and 75, that are part of that. The EMS non-resident and EMS resident, those are numbers that are a little lower than normal, because I'm utilizing the fire fund more, but I wanted to make sure they were ready for appropriation in the case we had to go back to using some of them, because we did already use $30,000 out of that EMS 2282 fund to get us through January, February, and payroll and things like that in the fire fund. So when you look at the total, the other thing I'm working on, see the 230,000 on the capital fund for the fire truck. I know the fire department had asked about that. You trustees have asked me to look at that. I'm not one to procrastinate, but I am working on it, because the 10-year window of time of having that capital fund has expired. I need to, and I think it's everybody's wishes, to get that back in that capital fund so we can continue on keeping that going, and then start building on that for a future fire truck. So I'm in the process of that. There's going to be a process we have to do, because I can't as fiscal officer, and you can as trustees authorize me just to go ahead, close it out and reopen it. It isn't that simple. There's a process we have to do to follow all the guidelines. So you're looking at the 2,563,702.28 is what the appropriation is. I'm recommending to have passed.
Sure, motion.
Trustee Griffith motions to accept the appropriations as presented at $2,563,702.28.
Trustee Puro, second. Roll call.
Griffith,
Yes.
Piro.
Yes. All right, then now PO needed for Stark County Regional Planning Annual Dinner Payment. Trustee Puro moves to pay the Stark County Regional Planning Annual Dinner Payment.
That was $258, just so you know.
At $258.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
Roll call.
Griffith,
Yes.
Barron, or Barron, I'm sorry. I'm sitting there looking at his name. Sorry, Cliff, if you're listening. Piro.
Yes. Fiscal Officer Larry requesting approval for updates to Security System Protect Security, Inc.
Yeah, I had to call the Protect in, because our previous company was no longer in service, and that bill came in, but I didn't have no idea. I had to get a service call. It was $484.25.
Trustee Griffith motions to pay Protect Security, Inc. $484.25 for their service.
Trustee Puro, seconds. Roll call.
Griffith.
Yes.
Piro.
Yes.
Thank you.
Approval for payment and renewal of membership for 2024-2025 Stark County Township Association. Trustee Pirro moves to pay the 2024-2025 Stark County Township Association membership dues.
Trustee Griffith seconds.
Roll call,
Griffith,
Yes.
Pirro.
yes.
And there should have been no change in them.
Well, the only thing, I did give a dollar amount because I didn't know if we were just duplicating before I did that. There's myself, you, Brenda, Trustee Pirro, Cliff, and then there's Stu, Office Secretary Sue Pirro, and then Zoning Mary. This is the ones that were on last year. But I didn't know if anyone else was gonna be added or taken off, anything like that.
You put Stu on there too, right?
Yeah, he's on there.
Yeah.
Leave it the same.
I mean, if any of our other members show an interest, I'm not opposed to giving them that membership also. So you would need to check to see if any of your people want on there too. Is that something you're interested in? It's a meeting once a month.
He said he'd go to some of those meetings.
So I would, you want a motion, your road?
I think it's later on that Thursday.
Dad.
Yeah.
So you gotta tell me that.
Oh,
Change.
They're gonna-
oh,
We gonna do a change.
Huh?
Just add.
I got
I would
4 more
add
weeks.
Yeah, just add the
full-time.
wording that someone else,
No,
or
no.
4 more Thursday.
So how long a period is that?
It's April,
Or the full-time.
How many
18th.
okay.
How many months?
I wouldn't have them part-time.
No, they're not
It
big.
starts in November, December, and it goes to April.
That's all I got.
I wanted to mention the, Succo's Park Trust that we have. We get an accounting of it once a month here. And that trust is earned over about 11.5 in growth for the month, which is great. And then we paid surveying, wasn't that the survey cost was, what, around 5,000?
Mhm.
And so, even paying the surveying out for what went out, we still netted quite a bit of profit there. That isn't a trust, it's specifically for the park. One of the other things we did at the last township meeting was Stewie connected with Stark County engineer, and they're gonna look at where we're gonna start getting that driveway in. And all that is money from this trust that was donated, is not township money. So as we start to
We're
work
supposed
over
to do
there,
that this week.
see where it would be best to put that road in the parking lot.
Yep.
I should say not a road, it's a driveway.
Driveway.
Driveway
The
and parking
entrance.
lot. Yeah, the entrance way. And then we'll get a sign ordered once we know where we're putting it. Because I'd like to bury the sign one time, not multiple and move it.
Right, and I don't wanna do that either.
No, so we're just gonna, once you know where you're putting that driveway in, we'll order the sign and get it put in.
Sounds good.
That's all I have.
Need a motion.
Motion to adjourn and pay bills.
Trustee Pirro, seconds, roll call.
Griffith,
Yes.
Pirro.
Yes. Have a good night.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be in touch.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
good
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the dinner itself, the food was not very good.
The one at Plain Township?
No, the one at the Holiday Inn, the regional plan.
Oh.
You didn't miss anything. One,